Hello, it is Miss Gella again, and we are continuing reading the book brought to you by the game Dreamscape, Spider Bots Rising. This is chapter 13, The Edge. In the dreamscape, it is often difficult to tell day from night. Light and time act strangely in the land of dreams. When the party awoke, they found the storm looming darkly overhead. The storm made it impossible to see either sun or stars. Dark, sinister clouds hung low in the sky. Deep and dangerous growls of thunder echoed across the plains. But no lightning sliced through the air. Not a single raindrop had yet fallen to the ground. "We should go on," the dream seeker said, trying to sound calm as she looked out across the flat land below. "We don't know how long we have before the storm hits, and every minute we waste, Queen Arachne could be getting stronger." So, yawning and stretching, everyone got to their feet. They climbed carefully down the rough red rock face until they were back on the ground, except for Nigel, of course, who bobbed gently in the air. "We need to go that way," Nigel said, turning gracefully. He was pointing to the flattest and emptiest place on the horizon. Not a rock, nor even a bump in the earth could be seen. Chuck said, scratching his mustache. "I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there ain't nothing over there, Nigel." "Exactly," said Nigel, looking very pleased. "Well said, Chuck. There isn't nothing over there. There's a whole lot of something over there. That's where the canyon is, and that's where the World Wide Web is being kept." "Oh, right, the canyon." "That's right." Abby shuffled towards Chuck. "A canyon is a gigantic cleft or crack between cliffs left by a river over millions." "I know what a canyon is," Chuck growled, folding his arms. "Just trying to help," Abby replied innocently. "You seem confused by your inability to see the canyon. You cannot see the canyon from here because the canyon is below us." "I know what a canyon is," Chuck shouted, his ears flopping wildly. "You see, when we get to the edge, we will be able to look down into the canyon." "Oh, forget it," Chuck said in a huff. He walked off in the direction Nigel had pointed. Abby winked her sensors at the others and ran after him. Smiling, Nigel and the dream seeker followed. They walked for hours. The desert was much larger than it had seemed at first. With no landmarks to judge the distance by, it felt like they were not moving forward at all. It seemed that time itself was standing still. The air was heavy around them, and it seemed to be getting heavier the longer they walked. It reminded the dream seeker of how it had felt inside the Duskmere forest, close to RNA's nest. The air had felt thick then too, but she had thought it was because the air was full of moisture. Now it almost seemed to crackle, like the air itself was electric. Sure enough, at one point, Chuck sneezed and sent sparks flying out of his nose. His mustache almost went up in flames. "It's all of this dumb dust," he grumbled nervously, "upsetting my allergies." Finally, they reached the edge of the canyon. As they got closer, it looked like the land was splitting in two before their eyes. The canyon was miles and miles wide. It was so wide that the dream seeker couldn't see where it ended. They crept up to the lips slowly and carefully. They stayed low and quiet, unsure of how close the bots were. Even Nigel wriggled along the ground, coating his belly in the red dust. When they peered over the edge, their jaws fell open. The canyon dropped away at least 2 miles beneath them. Looking down into it was like suddenly lying on top of a very tall skyscraper. It made the dream seeker feel dizzy. The jagged rocks disappeared below into shadow and darkness. It was so deep, the bottom of the canyon was just a silver of absolute blackness, except for one small bright point of light. Far below them, the dream seeker could see what looked like a glowing orb. From where she was lying, it looked like a tiny green marble. She was pretty sure she knew what it was. The World Wide Web. A crash of thunder rolled over their heads, making everyone jump. The dream seeker had to look away from the light. It was almost too bright, even at this distance. And as she turned her eyes back towards the canyon walls beneath them, they adjusted to the darkness. Then she saw something else, something that made her skin break out in goosebumps. Spider bots, hundreds of them, thousands of them. They were crawling everywhere. They streamed down the rock face in a never-ending swarm. From the edge of the canyon, their red sensors gave off only the faintest glow. Their dark, shiny bodies barely stood out against the shadowy cliffs. It looked like the canyon walls were alive, squirming. The bots crawled out of every nook and cranny in the canyon walls. There were more spider bots than she had ever seen in her life. And they were all heading straight for that little glowing orb. And that is the end of our chapter. Oh my goodness. I have so many questions. I'm sure you do too. There's so many things I'm wondering about. Why are these spider bots going towards the glowing orb? Maybe they don't see the dream seeker and her team. Is Abby able to understand where they're going? Maybe she can speak to the spider bots. Oh, but wait, I'm not sure if that's a good idea since she didn't have a good relationship with them before. What is this glowing orb? Does the glowing orb have a relationship with the compass? We haven't heard from this compass. There's so many questions I have, but I can't wait to hear what questions you have, what predictions you might be making. Remember, you can share them with a friend or you can write them down. I'm so excited to jump into the next chapter, and I will see you all next time.